Greetings from Ecuador. My latest trip report is taking the format of a video because this weekend I'm going to try working remotely from one of the most geographically isolated places on the planet, and I'm going to take you with me, at least virtually. So, the question is, can you work remotely from the Galápagos Islands? I'm going to dispel two myths with this video. One, that you can get pretty decent internet and work remotely from the Galápagos Islands, and two, it's nowhere near as expensive as you think it is. Let's go. Okay, so getting to the Galápagos Islands are a bit of a mission. First, you need to get yourself to the country of Ecuador in South America, where you'll land in one of the two main international airports, either Quito, the capital, or Guayaquil, which is down by the coast. I flew from Guayaquil, so all information in this video will be based on that. The Galápagos Islands are 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, so you'll need to take a connecting flight from Ecuador to one of the two airports in the Galápagos Islands, either Seymour Airport on Baltra Island or San Cristobal Airport on the island of San Cristobal. Looking back for ease, I'd use San Cristobal as it's a 20-minute walk from the main town, whereas Seymour Airport is a taxi, a bus and a boat journey just to get you to the main town. Before all of that, when you get to Guayaquil Airport, you need to find the desk to buy your transit card, which will cost $20. Don't lose this, you need this to enter as well as exit the Galápagos. Then, next to that desk, you need to have your hold luggage scanned. Once this is done, you can check in for your flight as normal. Once you land at Seymour Airport, in the terminal, you'll have your transit card checked and your passport stamped. Then you hand over your $200 entry fee, which is cash only, and then have your entrance form checked and your hand baggage scanned. That's 3 different things with 3 different people. The entrance form should be given to you mid-flight before you land, so make sure you fill that out. Once you've done all that, wait for your bags in baggage reclaim, buy a bus ticket outside for $5 and take a bus journey for about 30 minutes, then take a quick boat across the canal, which is another $1, and then take another bus to just outside the main town for $5 or a direct taxi for $25 to your accommodation. All cash only. Yeah, it's a ball ache. Okay, shall we take a break and watch some more wildlife? Let's go! Can you work remotely from the Galápagos Islands? Short answer is yes. The islands have 4G coverage in the main populated centres if you're using the Claro network. Do not use eSIMs, they probably won't work. Most establishments have Wi-Fi via Starlink, which offers around 30 to 40 meg speed, and cafes are laptop friendly too. Whilst coworker.com does list a co-working space in the Galápagos for a princely $270 a month, either the location is wrong or it just doesn't exist anymore. That said, plenty of accommodation on the islands have good Wi-Fi and desks in rooms. Just note that the electrical output can be quite weak. I struggle to get more than about 30 watts when charging my devices, which means things like laptops will take 2 or 3 times longer to recharge than normal. Which leads us to, do the Galápagos Islands have a digital nomad visa? The islands are part of Ecuador, which does have a digital nomad visa, and it's pretty easy to get too. You'll need a monthly income of around $1,400 a month from a remote source, health insurance, and a clean criminal record. And a few other things, and you'll be granted a 2-year stay. Without that, it's 90 days visa-free for British citizens and a whole host of other nationalities. The Galapagos Islands are made up of over 100 islands, islets and rocks, of which only 4 are permanently inhabited: Santa Cruz, Isabela, San Cristobal and Floriana. On these 4 islands, there are a permanent population of only 30,000 people, and the total landmass is around 8,000 square kilometres, with a marine area of over 200,000 square kilometres. For comparison, the landmass is about the same size as Corsica or Crete. Santa Cruz, which is served by Seymour Airport, which I showcased at the beginning of the video, is the more posh island of the 3, with high-end international cuisine, jewellery stores and high-end hotel chains.
And then Isabela Island, which is the largest of all of the islands, 4,500 square kilometres, which is twice the size of Luxembourg. There's only about 2,000 people that live here, so it's a lot quieter and a real far cry from the millionaire's playground that is Santa Cruz. And not as many tourists either, so it's actually a lot more peaceful. You'll still find lots of animals here, iguanas, sea lions, and on some of the tours that are a little bit further away, you'll get to see penguins, turtles. And then you have the island of San Cristobal, with a population of between 6,000 and 8,000, certainly a lot busier than Isabela. It's nowhere near as bougie as Santa Cruz, which has got its jewellery stores and designer clothes shops and restaurants. But this place has got a lot more bars, restaurants, a lot more Airbnbs, a little bit cheaper as well. So I would say that this is the most suitable for kind of like a long-term base if you were doing it. It's not necessarily the best one, and obviously it depends on personal opinion. All 3 islands are different. Here feels like a little city by the sea. Loads of bars, restaurants, shops. There's expensive restaurants, there's cheap local restaurants. Isabela has got that kind of Pacific castaway island vibe where it's just you and the dusty streets. And then Santa Cruz is kind of like your millionaire's playground, where you've got your jewellery shops, designer clothes, high-end restaurants, sushi spots. So there's something different for everybody depending on where you want to go.
And the final question is, how much does it all cost? Not counting international flights to Ecuador, your return flight from mainland Ecuador to the Galapagos will set you back between £190 and £240 return, without hold luggage. The cheapest route is Guayaquil to San Cristobal, with Avianca, which is £188. In the departure airport, you'll have to pay $20 for your transit card. Upon arrival to the Galapagos, you'll pay your $200 entrance fee. And if you're arriving to Seymour Airport, which if you remember has the longer commute, then $31 in transfer fees to get to your hotel, or $11 if you only use a bus and not a taxi. Accommodation wise, you'll easily get change out of £1,000 or £1,300 for a month of decent quality accommodation. In Santa Cruz, I stayed here, which was £250 or $320 for a week. Really, really nice place. In Isabela, I stayed here in a 2-star self-catering, which was the same price. And in San Cristobal, this little guest house with a swimming pool was only £195 or $250 for a week. Then you've got your food costs. Groceries will probably set you back $50 for a week, and a meal for one in a fancy restaurant is going to be $30 including a drink. Or if you go and eat like the locals, which is far more enjoyable, then you can get a menu del dia for $6, which will include meat, rice, vegetables and a soft drink. Finally, your tour costs. So this is where things can get expensive, but they don't necessarily need to be. The famous all-day tours such as Los Tuneles, Santa Fe, Kicker Rock and the 360 tour, they tend to start at £200 or $250 per person. But there's loads of cheap stuff too. A visit to El Chato Giant Tortoise Reserve costs $10. The beaches are free, and the best value for money tour in my opinion is Tintaderas in Isabela, which is $50, and you'll see penguins, turtles, iguanas, blue-footed boobies, frigates, sharks and manta rays in like 2 hours. So, all in, for a 3-week stay, you're looking at about $1,500 or £1,200, with everything above included, excluding the tours. Realistically, if you want to have a good time, then I'd add the Los Tuneles tour and the Tintaderas tour, which would add $300 to your grand total. And you'll need $100 for boat transfers between the islands over the course of 3 or 4 weeks, which brings the grand total to $1,900 or £1,500 for a month as a solo traveller. And if you go with a partner or a friend, then you'll save on accommodation and it's even cheaper. Now compare that to the fancy Galapagos cruises that start at $5,000 per person and can reach as high as $50,000 per person, and you've still got to fly from Ecuador to the islands. So, there you have it. You can work remotely from the Galapagos Islands, and it's really not as expensive as you thought it was.